He carries two weapons now. One of them has always been his. The other belonged to Senna. He picked it up from the place where she had been standing when Thresh took her, and he has not put it down since, and he will not put it down until the thing that took her from him has been destroyed in a way that does not leave room for question. He is not operating on hope. Hope is not what moves him across the haunted landscapes of Runeterra toward the next thing that needs to end. What moves him is something colder and more durable than hope, a certainty so total it has cleared everything else away. Her name was Senna. She was his partner, his other half, the specific counterweight that made everything he was capable of being possible. She is gone. He is going to find the thing that took her. His name is Lucian, and the story of how a man born for the light became the person carrying both guns in the dark is the story of what happens when the worst thing imaginable happens to the best person you know. New here? Subscribe. Every week, a League of Legends story told the way it deserves to be heard. There are people in the world who find their purpose, and there are people in the world who are their purpose, for whom what they do and who they are have become the same thing so completely that the question of what they would be without the mission does not have a legible answer. Lucian and Senna were both of these things, separately and together. They had been given weapons that most people could not carry, not in any physical sense but in the spiritual one. The weapons were sanctified instruments of a specific calling, to move through Runeterra and remove what should not be in it, the corrupted, the undead, the spirits that had twisted past the point of peace into something that threatened the living world. It was not a comfortable calling. It asked things of the people who accepted it that comfort could not accommodate. The calling had a cost. It required moving through places that accumulated grief, the specific residue of suffering that the undead carried and spread, the darkness that came not just from the entities themselves, but from the lives and the losses they represented. Sustained exposure to this was not something most people could survive with their sense of themselves intact. It required an internal architecture that did not collapse under that kind of weight. Senna was steady in a way that Lucian was not always steady. Not cold. She was warm, present. The kind of person who could be with someone in genuine distress without trying to solve it before they had finished feeling it. What she had was the specific stability of someone whose internal foundation did not shift under pressure, whose clarity about what mattered did not cloud when the situation was difficult. She was a fixed point. Lucian moved quickly. Senna held still. Together, these were not opposites but complements. This was visible in the way they fought. Lucian's instinct was to close distance, to move toward whatever needed to end before it had time to become more dangerous, to trust his speed and precision to carry him through the gap between what he knew and what he did not yet know. Senna's instinct was to read the situation first, to take the additional moment that most people in danger did not take, to see the thing clearly before committing to how to respond to it. These instincts did not conflict, they combined. They were, together, something greater than either was alone. Every person they saved knew, both of them. Not as separate agents but as a single fact, a presence, the specific combination of Lucian's speed and Senna's depth. They had spent years building this. Then they went to the Blessed Isles. The Blessed Isles had been something once. The name is evidence. Places do not get called blessed unless the name means something. But whatever they had been, what reached the wider world from them now were the opposite. The Cursed Isles, the black mist, the persistent outflow of something that had gone profoundly wrong and refused to stop going wrong. The haunted coastal regions, the ghost towns, the beings that were no longer quite what they had been when they were alive. Lucian and Senna had faced difficult things before this. They had faced things that would have broken most warriors. The specific quality of the undead, the way death did not clean up properly when it was interrupted or perverted, the things that accumulated in spaces where Death had happened repeatedly without resolution. This was material they were familiar with. They were not naive about what the work required. They were not prepared for Thresh. He was not simply a powerful entity. The power was part of it. He operated at a scale that exceeded most things they had encountered, and the specific forms of what he could do were not things their experience had mapped. But power alone was not what made him different. It was the intelligence behind the power, the patience, the specific quality of a mind that had spent a very long time understanding how people broke and had developed, through that understanding, a precision in finding the exact point where breaking became irreversible. He was watching them long before they understood they were being watched. He waited for the specific configuration, the moment when Lucian's attention was elsewhere. When Senna's guard was positioned in a way that left one angle uncovered, when the geometry of the fight had been shaped by a series of prior events that Thresh had designed for this outcome. He had been building toward this particular moment since before they arrived. He took Senna, not her body, her soul, the specific substance that Thresh collected, that he kept in the lantern. He carried, that he had spent an existence filling with the things that made people most themselves, because the quality of what he harvested was related to the quality of what had been most alive in the person he took it from. Lucian watched her go into the lantern. He was close enough to see it happen. He was not close enough to stop it. There is a particular kind of grief that does not spread out into the space around the person who has it. It concentrates. It locates itself in the center of everything and radiates heat rather than diffusing. Lucian did not become devastated in any visible sense. He became still. He became focused in a way he had not previously been focused, with an intensity that came from the specific combustion of grief and certainty and the complete orientation of a person who has determined that there is exactly one thing left to do. He picked up Senna's weapon. This was not strategy. It was not a calculated decision about combat effectiveness. He picked it up because it was hers, because it was there, because the act of leaving it on the ground would have been a kind of admission that was unavailable to him. He held it. He held both. The weight was wrong, not physically. He was capable of carrying them both. Wrong, in a different sense. The second weapon was hers, and carrying it was carrying the fact of what had happened, continuously, with no way to put it down. He carries it anyway. He has been carrying it through every haunted landscape that the black mist reaches. He has been carrying it into every encounter with the undead, the corrupted, the beings that the ruination produced and that continue to spread from it. He destroys what needs to be destroyed. He does not slow down. He does not take time for what grief usually asks people to take time for. He is looking for Thresh, not simply because Thresh is the most powerful entity connected to what happened to Senna. Because Thresh specifically has her. She is in the lantern. Somewhere in the accumulation of souls that Thresh has collected across his existence, Senna is there, not gone, not free, but present in the specific form that Thresh's collection takes. The worst of it, the thing that makes the certainty of what Lucian is doing feel like something other than simple revenge, is that she is not at rest. She is there. He is going to get her back. Or he is going to end the thing that has her. Or both. There is no version of this where he stops. Senna herself would have told him this was not what she wanted. She would have, he knows this, urged him toward caution, toward something more than cold certainty. She was the balance. She was the steadiness. Without her beside him, what he has available is the uncounterweighted version of himself. Faster, harder, less interested in the question of what it costs. He knows this about himself. He does not consider it a problem to be solved. He considers it the appropriate relationship with the current situation. The things he hunts draw power from fear. This is what he understands about them, not as metaphor, but as mechanism. The undead, the corrupted, the entities that have crossed from whatever they were into something that should not be walking in the living world. They are sustained, amplified, made more dangerous by the fear they generate. Fear of them is fuel. Approaching them without it is a form of combat effectiveness. Lucian is not afraid of them. He has not been afraid of them for a long time, since before Senna, since the years of the calling when he was building the specific relationship with mortality and corruption that the work required. What the grief has added is not fear, but its opposite, a quality of absolute indifference to his own outcome that makes the fear they try to generate land on nothing. They cannot use him against himself. There is no version of Lucian that they have access to that is not already pointed at them. He moves through the places where the black mist is thickest. He fires, he keeps moving. He is closer today than he was yesterday. He will be closer tomorrow than he is today. He will find her, he will find Thresh. He has 2 guns and an uncountable number of unfinished things. He is not done. If this story reached you, subscribe. Every week, the full lore of a League of Legends champion, told the way it deserves to be heard.